Previously, a supportive community helped the dev with their motivation. Full on Yap Fest, great time, great game, great people. What if everybody hates your game? A bit of history with this game. Danganronpa Kaizen is the first Danganronpa fan game I've ever played. It's crude, edgy, like holy shit. This will offend people. And it did. I remember the dev made a video on why they stopped making the game. They deleted the game and also deleted the video too, so that sucks. It's now gone forever. That's why I don't have any screenshots to show. How the hell was I supposed to know that was gonna happen? The username and picture are covered as requested by the dev. I prepared the questions in advance because they were busy, which explains the format of the chat logs. So, here we go. When was Kaizen first developed? Around June 2020. Were you inspired by other fan games? Yes, I was initially inspired by SDRA 2. Yeah, not a unique answer at this point. I was also motivated by the fact that there were, in my opinion, almost no good DR fan games at that time, so I wanted to try and fix that. I can vouch for that. I remember when I still had my old channel in 2020, there were so few DR fan games then. This was the first I found when I searched for Danganronpa in itch.io. Yeah, pretty ironic, considering how my fan game is now considered one of the worst of all time, so I only worsened the DR fan game space in the end. Who did the artwork? Me and one of my friends. My friend drew 4 of the characters and I drew the rest. Yes, the artwork is garbage. Yes, we obviously traced the art from the official character designs. No, none of us are artists. At the time, we were hoping that despite the shitty artwork, it would at least be considered acceptable enough for the audience and they would overlook it since we felt the story was more important to the game anyways. They did not overlook the artwork. The fuck? What the hell is wrong with the artwork? Are people expecting professionally made art for a fan game? What if a dev isn't good at art but brilliant at everything else? You're gonna ignore the other 90% of the game? All that writing, all that effort, all because the pixels on the screen were traced? Jesus, if there was a fan game cast mainly composed of stick figures, as long as the story is awesome, I'd play the crap out of it. Hell, one of my favorite Danganronpa fan games is called Danganronpa Call of Righteousness, and the art is objectively bad but massively charming and also the writing makes up for it. Yeah, maybe I should make a quick review of that. How did you do the scripting? For each chapter, when writing the daily stuff, I would initially write down the most important stuff that would happen. Once I reached the point where Deadly Life would start, I would go back and expand the story in detail. Afterwards, I moved on to the Deadly Life stuff. Writing the Deadly Life stuff was unsurprisingly more complicated since I had to make sure that everything made sense and didn't have too many plot holes in order to write a good murder case. After I finished writing the Deadly Life stuff, I would go back to the Daily Life story and rewrite some parts in order to make the class trial stuff make sense. Since this is related, you're probably wondering why there were so many spelling and grammar mistakes in the dialogue. That's because when it came to writing the dialogue, I never wrote it in a Word document or a text editor beforehand. I only wrote the outline in a Word document. Instead, I wrote all of the dialogue that I thought of directly within the game engine I was using. Because of the crummy way that I programmed the game, I was writing the dialogue in a very small text box. It came with one of the game engine's components. Unsurprisingly, there's no spell check function in it. And it's hard to read all of the text in the box at once. Of course, I could have done a better job at proofreading the text when I played through the game myself. I was reading through the text extremely quickly and missed these mistakes as a result. But in my defense, I had to go through these dialogues hundreds of times in playtesting. Can you blame me for not wanting to read the text properly during playtesting? Fair enough. I would always point out, hey, there's a spelling mistake here, but I do that to all the games I play. It's just a hobby. Nothing personal, kid. Was there a story that was inspired from? Besides Danganronpa, obviously, not really. I was trying to make something original. Are you a solo dev or in a team? For the most part, I was a solo dev when developing this game. I did have a friend who helped me occasionally, such as with tracing, drawing some character art, and playtesting. However, I did almost everything myself, such as programming the game, writing the story and dialogue, and making additional sprites, like the cheaply made RPG Maker maps and minigame assets. Do you have all the basics of how each chapter should go, like bullet points on what happens with each chapter? Yes, as mentioned before, I would write out the most important events that happen first and expand upon them later. Yeah, that was a stupid question of mine. That was a stupid question. While developing, were there any hurdles? I guess the most difficult part of making the game was trying to avoid making plot holes or creating contradictions when writing the story. As the story got deeper, there were a lot more elements that I had to consider when writing what happened next. I didn't want to accidentally write something that would contradict something that I wrote before. Are you in and or active in the DR community? Hell no, I personally find Danganronpa and its community really stupid and embarrassing now. I just cringe whenever I think back at the times I tried talking to other people about the game now. And before you think, oh, you're just saying that because you're salty that everyone hated your game, I promise that I have like a whole bunch of other reasons to hate the fandom outside of that. The DR fanbase is infamous for being one of the worst fan bases on the internet, so I don't think I need to explain that part. Is your fan game on hiatus or is no longer being developed? It's no longer being developed and I don't plan on going back to it ever again. If not being developed, why? What made you stop making it? Oh boy, where do I even start with this question? 1. The game is flat out terrible. Horribly and obviously traced sprites, tons of spelling and grammar mistakes, cheaply ripped voice audio, poor audio mixing, no menus for adjusting audio, sorry for killing your ears, that's fine. Constant use of stock images and RPG Maker assets, even though I didn't make this game in RPG Maker. The first trial was pretty crappy when looking back at it, and difficult minigames, specifically the final minigame when you shoot down the opponent's words or whatever. A bit off topic, but while I don't think the writing for the main protagonist is terrible, I kinda wish it changed their personalities a bit, like making Gamer less cowardly at times or make Alice less moody. Alice is one of the most unique characters in DR fan games I've ever seen. If she likes you, she really likes you, and has no problem calling out people and their bullshit, then reverting back to the I'm an airhead character. Like, what the hell happened to make you like that? 2. This game is terribly programmed. At the time, I was still new to programming games with Godot, let alone making a huge game with it, and not some simple crappy 48-hour challenge project or something. Without going too much into detail, the way this game was programmed is a total mess and became difficult to work with in the long run. 3. I lost interest in Danganronpa. As stated before, I find the official games and fan games really stupid and cringy when I look back at them. 4. Horrible fandom. Need I say more? Yep. You can enjoy something without having to be in a community. It's kinda lonely, but it's really peaceful and relaxing. I got used to it and figured it's way better than having to deal with people. Just learn to enjoy things on your own. I'm not saying to do what I say, I'm just presenting you other options. 5. The controversial stuff. Yeah, I'm sure everyone saw this one coming. When I first worked on this game, I kind of made it as a joke or an anti-DR fan game. I thought it would be funny to make something overly edgy compared to other DR fan works at the time, and became the so-called filthy Frank of DR fan game devs or something stupid like that. I kinda knew not everyone was going to like the game with this idea in mind, however, considering how edgy the official Danganronpa series already is, I felt most other people would be fine with it, and decided to go for it. During the release of the first chapter of my game, the reception for it felt ambiguous. While I noticed that my game was receiving hate, I also had a pretty sizable fan base that liked the game for what it was. Additionally, I rarely saw people talk about my game, so I never really knew the ratio of people who liked or hated the game. I just decided I should just ignore the haters and continue making the game as I usually did. After all, it was also during this time where I started getting more serious with the game and wanted to try making something good instead of something stupid and edgy. By the time I released the second chapter, the hatred for the game became a lot more apparent. It seemed like releasing the second chapter made my game a lot more visible on people's radar, and they started banning all discussions and promotions for the game once they found out about the game's reputation. Jesus Christ. In other words, it became clear that the majority of people hated the game. That was the point where I decided to take an honest look at the game and started questioning, what the hell was I thinking with this game? And do I really want to be known for making this? In other words, I did start to feel bad for writing all the edgy stuff and decided to go back and clean up the game, which led to the game being re-released as Danganronpa Kaisen Rebirth 1. Just to be clear, I don't really believe in any of the edgy stuff that I wrote or think they are that funny. I guess at the time it was just funny seeing these characters talk all crazy like that, I don't know. And yeah, sure, you can call me a complete dumbass for not realizing edgy humor equaled bad games sooner. The game's dead anyways, I don't care. 6. While some people did forgive me for making the edgy version of the game, I knew nobody forgot about that version, and the game's reputation was beyond repair at that point. Even after cleaning up the game was never popular, and people still hated the game for other reasons besides the edgy content anyways, such as the terrible character artwork. This was also the point where I was getting sick of Danganronpa and its fan base in general, as stated before. People hating my game was not the reason I hated the fan base. Afterwards, I did make a Danganronpa-esque parody game for April Fool's Day, but that was just for my enjoyment and nobody cared about it anyways. Afterwards, I made a Q&A video explaining why I quit the game. Finally, I decided to just end it all and delete everything that I made about the fan game. Now it's nothing more than lost media, I guess. Yeah, I think that answers all of your questions. Oh man, god damn it, what do you even say to that? What advice would you give? I'm just speechless how much this game receives so much hate because it's edgy, when people seem to forget that the original games were edgy as well. Admittedly, I was getting pretty mad hearing what happened with this game since I have a soft spot for it. It's the first ever fan game I played, and even if it is difficult as all hell, the edgy funny writing made it all worth it, even with the terrible volume mixing. Now that that's done, I should have done this before but just realized while making it. Quick reviews of the Danganronpa fan games. Danganronpa Glacial Bullets. It's actually really cool how the smart one in the group was able to deduce stuff. The coolest thing about this game is that everything is revealed in the prologue. Who the mastermind is, how everyone can get out but can't because everyone has to have 100% choose the get out option, but the mastermind refuses to do so. It's so goddamn cool. Like, how the hell are you supposed to deal with that situation? Now we'll never know. Great prologue, but like every fan game, the sound effects breaks my eardrums. Danganronpa Alter Nexus. Great characters, great writing, love the mystery and the questions popping up like, is this guy telling the truth? Is our friend the mastermind? What do they know that I don't? The pacing is just right, it's not a bore to read, it says what it needs to. I guess the only complaint I have was this one character was introduced and had a big role in the last parts of Chapter 1, which gave a hint that maybe something will happen to this character. I missed it for the first time since I was enjoying the writing. Danganronpa Call of Righteousness. I fucking love this fan game. Objectively, the art is bad, but I love it so much. It's so charming and pure like a newborn baby. The writing isn't so bad too. Like, I want to see where this goes, who these characters are, what's gonna happen next, and what will these guys do. Unfortunately, it just disappeared. I tried looking for it, but nothing. I found nothing. Where did you go, man? Why did you leave me? Danganronpa Kaizen, the original version. Crude, edgy, fucking hilarious. I love it so much. The writing of the characters is so well done to the point that you hate them. You hate all of them equally. I think the dev made it exactly how they said, an anti-DR game, since in Danganronpa you're supposed to like some or maybe all of the characters, but this game, hell no, everyone sucks so much. It's so hilarious how they're able to bounce off each other and how they insult one another. It's rightfully deserved and so fucking funny. The clean version, Kaizen Rebirth, removed all the edgy and funny shit. Still good though, it focused more on story and the characters still being assholes to each other, but not too offensive. Yeah, that's it. So what's next? What happens if you have a supportive community, nobody hates you, no drama going behind the scenes, but the development still stops?